Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to get going here pretty quick. You can have your blanket and your block out if you like. We're going to start just in a comfortable cross-legged position. Feel free to use your blanket if you like to prop your hips up. Really is so that you can sit head over heart, heart over pelvis, right? Because if you feel like you're, curved is just all you need in order to get your spine to elongate and get yourself to sit nice up on the 945. So what I'll get you to do is just close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If not, just soften your gaze and center your gaze out and down. Take a moment to notice if you feel like you're firmly rooted into your sit bones. So you may want to take a moment toward the back, but you want to feel like you're nice and grounded. Muladhara chakra, and trying to get ourselves nice and rooted. Feel like we are planted firmly to the earth, like we feel secure. So we're going to continue working with that this week. And I invite you, if you like, to take a mudra with your hands while you're sitting here. And you can bring the palm of the thumb to the palm of the index finger and just leave the other fingers kind of relaxed but straight. And this is the Gyan Mudra. The Gyan Mudra is linked to that root chakra, and it's said to ease tension, ease depression. And as with everything, guys, you can take what you need and you can leave what you don't. If you're feeling like you need to focus on yourself today and go inward, you might want to turn your palms down towards your knees, towards your thighs. If you're feeling like you are ready to welcome any energies that the universe might send your way, feel free to flip your palms toward the sky. And as you start to settle in here, we're going to tap into our Samasvriti breath. So that was our equal parts breathing. I invite you to just notice what's going on with your breath. So we're not forcing it. Just notice, maybe count the length of the inhale and then the length of the exhale. You're just breathing naturally in through the nose, out through the nose. Deep belly breath, so allowing that breath to go all the way down to the belly, feeling the belly inflate with every inhale. And then on every exhale, feeling the breath moving back up from the belly and making its way out through the nostrils. And once you've got a good idea of the length of each inhale and each exhale, then try to see if you can't match the length of the inhale to the length of the exhale. This is one form of pranayama. Anytime you focus on that breath, especially trying to, just trying to notice the breath, notice where it's at. And what that allows is, it allows us to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system. Slow the heart rate down, calm the monkey mind. It allows us to ease into a state of relaxation and calm. I'll let you be here for another maybe 6 breaths or so. Just noticing where you're at today. If you have that breath down, you can try to drop the count and just naturally, I guess, continue that equal part breathing. And in these last couple breaths, you may want to take a moment to set an intention for your practice today. It's something that you want to focus on during our time together today. And take another 2 deep breaths in together as a group. So inhaling deeply in through the nose and exhaling it out through the nose. Feeling that directional breath. Inhaling through the nose, allowing the belly to inflate on the inhale and exhaling it out. Feeling the belly depress. Beautiful. Tuck your chin. Allow the eyelids to flutter open here. And we're going to make our way to hands and knees, to our tabletop position. And you guys have done this with me a few times, so I'm not going to, tell you really how to move. I just want you to find some organic movement here, and we're going to go through our cat-cow pose. So on the inhale, remember, dropping the belly, growing long through the belly, finding any sort of motion that you may feel is in your body today. And on the exhale, curling the pelvis under and reaching the chest or the back of the spine up toward the ceiling, tucking the chin in. And I'm going to let you move at your own pace here for probably about 6 breath cycles. Taking your time wherever you feel like you need a little extra. Maybe veering off the tracks a little bit, bumping your hips from side to side. Maybe sending the hip bones back toward the heels. But moving with the breath. Trying to match the inhale and the exhale to the motion. So just as you reach the apex of your movement, your breath is just wrapping up that particular breath cycle. Beautiful. Another breath here. And on the inhale, coming back to our tabletop position, our flat back position. So I want you to think about, here in this position, I want you to think about firmly grounding yourself into the mat. So externally rotating through the arms so the elbow creases shine toward the front of the mat, planting the shoelace side of the foot into the mat so you feel nice and grounded here. Noticing where the weight is right now, so you should hopefully be feeling that it's equally distributed amongst all 4 corners. And on your inhale, you're going to curl the right toes under and send them toward the back of the mat, and then allow the leg to float up until it arrives parallel to the mat. Now notice what happened to your weight. Notice if it shifted in any form, and try to keep that equal distribution of the weight like you had when the knee was down on the ground. Internally rotate that right leg so that you level off the hips. And on our next exhale, we're going to lift the left hand up toward the front of the mat. The thumb is pointing toward the ceiling. We're slowly waking up the core muscles. Think about plugging that left shoulder into the shoulder socket. Notice where your weight is here. And on your next exhale, dropping the left hand down onto the mat. We're going to bend the right knee, and we're going to send that knee all the way through and in between the hands, moving into our pigeon posture. So just like last week, guys, there's no need to feel like that shin needs to come parallel to the front of the mat. If you have any sort of knee sensitivity, feel free to bring the heel of the foot close to your pelvis. If you need to put your blanket or your block underneath that right hip in order to provide a little bit of support, now would be a good opportunity. And I want you to think about internally rotating, or the intention is to internally rotate that left leg. And when you do that, what you're going to notice is that the hip rotates itself. The whole pelvis actually rotates itself, and that right hip comes back in line with the left. And if you're comfortable here, you hang out here, own it, feel free to stay and work at your own appropriate edge. And if not, we're going to start rocking our hands toward the front of the mat, allowing our head to make its way toward the mat. If you've got the motion, the mobility today, feel free to bring the head on top of the hands. You can stack the hands one on top of the other. If that's a little bit too much for you, you can bring your block or your blanket underneath you and bring the mat up toward you. But wherever you are, I want you to think about keeping some brightness in the feet. Inhaling, drawing the armpit chest down the length of the side body. And on the exhale, trying to relax into the posture. Right? And we're not getting into the posture necessarily right away, but we're noticing how, or we're not getting into the full extent of the posture right away, but we're just noticing how it changes with every exhale and every inhale. Trying to move further into the posture on the exhale. And then once that sensation dissipates a little bit, then maybe moving a little bit further into the posture until you feel sensation. Not pain, but sensation. You should be feeling this on that outer glute, right? That outer right glute. If you're feeling anything into the knee, then maybe back out a little bit. But try to tap back into that equal breath. So deeply inhaling through the nostrils, exhaling it out through the nostrils or the mouth, through pursed lips. Trying to imagine sending the breath down toward any spots that are talking to you right now. Taking a deep belly breath. I'm going to be here for another 2 breath cycles. Deeply inhaling and deeply exhaling. Sighing it out maybe through the mouth. Lovely. And on your next inhale, we're going to lift the head back up, walk the palms in front of us, lifting the torso, walking the hands back toward the pelvis, and lifting back into tabletop position. We're going to curl the toes under here and send the sit bones up toward the sky into our first downward dog. Now, in this downward dog, feel free to bend the knees as generously as you need. Walk your dog a little bit because it's the first one that we've done today, maybe this morning. We're going to ground through that left foot, and on the inhale, we're going to send the right foot up toward the ceiling. Take one breath here. And next, bending that right knee, we're going to open the hip up toward the right side of the mat, trying to touch the right heel to the left glute. Now notice where your weight's gone. Have you thrown it or dumped it all into that left hand? And if so, try to see if you can't evenly distribute the weight here between both hands while still feeling a stretch, maybe through the quad, maybe up into the abdominals. Taking one more breath here. And returning the leg back into 3-legged dog. Exhaling it all the way back down to the mat. And bringing the knees back to tabletop position. Beautiful. Find your tabletop. We're going to work on the other side now. So curling the left toes under. Inhaling, sending the toes back. And lifting the leg up off the mat. Internally rotating that left leg. Take a moment to notice where the weight has gone. Trying to keep it evenly distributed. So we're trying to ground through our foundation, right? Tapping into that Muladhara, the root chakra. On your next inhale, we're going to swim the right fingertips toward the front of the mat. Thumb is pointing up toward the ceiling. Think about drawing the right armpit chest down the length of the side body. Waking up the abdominals. Adding a little fire. On your exhale, dropping the right hand back to the mat, bending through the left knee and sending the knee up and in between the hands into our pigeon posture on the other side. So same thing here. Think about internally rotating that right leg. The intention to internally rotate that right leg so that the left hip pulls back in line with the right hip. If you're comfortable here, you can feel free to hang out here, right? We're doing us today. We're working through what we need this morning. And if not, you can start to walk yourself forward, allowing the head to move toward the mat. You could stack one hand on top of the other, allowing the forehead to rest on the hands, or bring your block or your blanket underneath and bring the mat up to you. And again, in this posture, feeling the stretch through that left glute. Breathing deeply into the belly, noticing it inflate with every inhale. And on every exhale, try to move or relax into the posture. Trying to let go of anything you're holding on to. If you're feeling anything into that left knee, maybe backing out just a little bit. If there's any part that's speaking to you right now, imagine sending some breath to it. Trying to focus on that inhale, moving down toward the belly, and then the exhale moving back up and out through the nostrils or through the mouth. Feeling firmly planted in our foundation, pressing into the shoelace side of the right foot. And take 2 more breaths here. Drawing the armpit chest down the length of the side body. Really nice, guys. On our next inhale, we're going to send the hands back out in front and walking them back toward the legs. Coming head over heart, heart over pelvis. We're going to swim that left leg back toward our tabletop position. Curl the toes under. Move into our downward facing dog. Walk our dog out here for 2 breaths. Any sort of yummy movement you need to wake up the body. And on your next inhale, rooting through the right foot, bringing the left foot up into your 3-legged dog, internally rotating that left leg to level out the hips. Put a little bend in that left knee, and we're going to open the hips up toward the left side of the mat, drawing the left heels toward that right glute. And here I want you to notice where your weight went. Notice if you sent it all into that right hand. And if you did, try to bring it back so that it's equally distributed between the right and the left. Taking another breath here. And exhaling it out, bringing the left foot back to the mat. Walking your feet out. And then finding center stillness. Beautiful. Now there's no need to try to work through straight legs here. Feel free to put a bend in those knees and draw the armpit chest down the length of the side body in order to flatten, or I guess create a long line from the tip of the tailbone through the crown of the head. Yeah, just like that, guys. Good job. Maybe tuck the chin in slightly so you lengthen through the back of the neck. And on our next exhale, we're going to bend deeply through the knees, look toward the front of the mat, and we're going to crisscross the feet all the way up toward the front of the mat. And we'll meet in our first forward fold of the practice. Take a moment here. Feel free to bend through the knees. There's no need to have straight legs. You could clasp opposite elbow with opposite hand. Sway side to side. Maybe nod the head yes and shake it no. Noticing your breath. Trying to breathe deeply into the belly on every inhale. And just letting something go with every exhale. Allowing the hands to come back to the mat if they're crossed. We're going to bend through the knees, and on the next inhale, rolling one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up to our first Tadasana. And when you arrive, rolling the shoulders forward, up, and back. Letting the hands hang loose wherever they naturally lie. Noticing where you're holding your weight, right? So talking a lot about the foundations, right? Trying to find grounding, trying to find our footing. Think about drawing the kneecaps up, engaging the quadriceps, pulling up on the arches of the feet, right? Drawing energy up from the ground, up so that it nourishes us. And with every exhale, letting anything we don't need, letting it go. Letting it release. And with every inhale, breathing in positive energy. And with every exhale, sending some love out to somebody. Beautiful. Tuck the chin in, lengthen through the back of the neck. On your next inhale, we're going to float the fingertips up toward the ceiling. Allow the palms to kiss together. Exhale, we're going to float all the way back down into our forward fold. Inhale, bring the palms of the hands up to the thighs. Tuck the elbows into like little grasshopper legs. Grow long through the crown of the neck, bringing the heart slightly above where the zipper would rest on your pants. And exhaling to release. Beautiful. Plant the palms. Step the right foot back. Step the left foot back. And we arrive in our first plank. Feel free to take a half plank here if you like. Again, we're trying to focus on our foundation. So externally rotating through those arms, shining the elbow creases toward the front of the mat. Spiking the heels toward the back of the mat. Holding strong through our core. We're only going to be here for another 3 breaths. Feeling that fire waking up the abdominal muscles. Last breath. Beautiful. And on your next exhale, bending at the elbows and lowering all the way down to the mat. Planting the shoelace side of the foot into the mat firmly. On the inhale, tucking your chin, bringing the elbows tight against the chest and growing long through the crown of the head into our Bhujangasana. Exhaling, release. Inhale, curl the toes under, come up to plank or half plank. Exhale, send the sit bones up toward the ceiling. Downward dog. Beautiful. Taking one deep breath here. Sighing it out through the mouth. And on your next inhale, bending at the knees, looking to the front of the mat. You can hop or you can step toward the front of the mat. Growing long through the crown of the head, flat back, sending your hands to the shins this time. Exhaling, release, forward fold. Bending at the knees, growing tall through the crown of the head, rolling the shoulders forward, up and back, and we arrive into Tadasana. Notice your breath. Find your foundation. I've said this a couple times, but this is such an important posture, right? For all of these standing postures, Tadasana is where it all begins. So we want to take some time here to notice Notice all those little nuances in this posture. Really nice, guys. And on your inhale, floating the fingertips up, kissing the palms together, and exhaling all the way into our forward fold. Inhale, bring the palms of the hands to the shins, grow long through the crown of the head, flat back. Exhale, release into our forward fold. Plant the palms. You can hop or step the opposite foot back into our plank this time. Again, focusing on our foundations here, working on our strength, feeling like the hands and the feet are pulling in toward each other so that we really activate those abdominal muscles. Drawing the armpit chest down the length of the side body. Taking another 3 deep breaths here. Feel free to lower the knees if you need to. Lovely. And on the exhale, bending through the elbows, lowering slowly all the way to the mat. Beautiful. Allow the forehead to rest on the mat. Plant the shoelace side of the foot firmly on your mat and swing your fingertips back towards your hips. Palms face down. We're going to, on the inhale, move through that same lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head that we had in Bhujangasana. But this time, we want to make sure that you guys are working with without forcing yourself into the posture with your hands. So on the inhale, think about lengthening through the crown of the head, drawing the armpit chest down the length of the side body and lifting the chest, allowing the heart to shine forward, relaxing through the glutes, planting the shoelace side of the feet together. If you're good here, on your next inhale, you're going to float your fingertips up off the mat like you're flying. Noticing how the upper body ebbs and flows, rises and lowers with every inhale and exhale. Breathing deeply into the belly. If you're good here, on your next inhale, zipping those feet tightly, the legs tightly together, and inhaling them up off the mat into our full locust pose. We're going to be here for another 3 breaths, working at your appropriate edge. Last breath, and lowering all the way to the mat. Allow one cheek to come to the mat. Allow your shoulders to just melt down into it. Bending through the knees, pointing the toes up toward the ceiling, and we're just gonna let the feet drop from side to side here. Bringing a little motion into those legs. Lovely. Bring the feet back up towards center. Allow them to drop. Let the heels just splay out here. And take one deep breath here in this posture. Surrender. Lovely. And swim the hands back underneath the shoulders. Bring the head back towards center. Curl the toes under. Inhale into flat back or into your tabletop. Exhale, coming back to downward facing dog. Take one deep breath here. And on your next inhale, bending through the knees and step or hop toward the front of the mat into your flat back. Maybe the fingertips are on the mat this time, maybe not. Exhale, we release. Beautiful. Bend through the knees. Deeply bending in the knees. Walk the feet together, really together. Send the sit bones as far back as you can. And on the inhale, we're going to swim the fingertips up toward the front of the mat and arrive in our Utkatasana, in our chair posture. So sending the sit bones, the intention is to send them as far back as possible. Grow long through the crown of the head. Arms are visible in your periphery. Draw the shoulders, the armpit, chest down the length of the side body. Imagine holding a big beach ball up and overhead. Welcome the shake, welcome the fire. Beautiful. 2 more breaths here. Breathe deeply. You got this. One more breath. Awesome. And on your next inhale, growing tall into your Tadasana. Maybe inserting on the exhale, a small back bend here, shining the heart up toward the sky. Inhale, coming back to center. We're going to clasp the hands together, bump the hips to the left, send the fingers toward the right side on the exhale, stretching through the left side body. Beautiful. Inhale, coming up to center. Exhale, bump the hips to the right, send the fingertips toward the left. Maybe you look up toward the ceiling. Inhaling, up toward the center. Palms come to prayer. Exhale, we lower them, Anjali Mudra at the heart. Breathe here, deep belly breaths. Trying to marry the movement to each and every breath, right? Notice where your weight is, feeling grounded, feeling rooted, feeling like we've got your back. Lovely. Bring the hands to the hips. We're going to move into our warrior one. So you're going to step the left foot back toward the back of the mat. Feet will be on 2 parallel lines. Left toes are pointing toward the front corner of the mat. Hips are probably slightly higher. The pelvis is probably slightly higher than the right knee. Right knee is tracking those right toes. Head is over the heart. Heart is over the pelvis. Notice where your weight is. Feel your foundation, right? Feel like you're drawing energy up from the earth, nourishing your body. And on the inhale, swimming the fingertips all the way up to the ceiling. Maybe on the exhale, you insert a little back bend here. Beautiful. Inhale, coming back up to center. Hands kiss together and they lower to the heart. We're going to move into our twist. So on the twist, we're going to inhale, send the torso forward toward the top of the right thigh. Grow long through the crown of the head. On our next exhale, we're going to twist the left elbow toward the right knee, sending the outside of the elbow toward the outside of the right thigh. Now we're not using those hands to press and muscle our way into the twist. We should feel no weight in our hands, no discomfort, right? And we're trying to work on every exhale, trying to work the sternum, the center of the chest, up toward the thumbs. Growing long through the crown of the head. Think about pressing the armpit chest down the length of the side body. Deep belly breaths here. Welcoming the shake, welcoming that flow of energy. It means you're alive, you're here, right? You took time for yourself. Beautiful. One more breath here. And on the exhale, lowering down, hands to the mat. Come up to high lunge here, and you're going to scooch the left foot a little bit further back toward the end of the mat. We're going to externally rotate through that left leg so the sole of the left foot comes to rest flat on the mat. So this is almost like warrior two stance, right? Now the heel of the left foot is in line with the heel of the right foot. We're going to swim the right hand toward the inner arch of the right foot, and we're going to move into our extended side angle pose. You're more than welcome to work with the hand planted firmly on the ground here. If this is a little too much for you, you can feel free to bring your block toward the center of the mat and allow the right hand to rest on the block. And if that's still too much, feel free to bring your forearm to the top of the right thigh. Now, from whichever position you're comfortable in, you're going to inhale, bring the left hand onto the left hip, and on the exhale, open up through the chest, shining the chest bright to the left side of your mat, rolling the left shoulder toward the right side of your mat, maybe sending your gaze up toward the ceiling. Keeping a long line through the crown of the head all the way down to the tailbone. If you want a little bit more here, swimming those fingertips down toward the mat and then toward the front of the mat so that the bicep is in your peripheral, parallel to the head here. Think about drawing the left armpit chest down the length of the side body, spiraling the heart toward the ceiling. We're going to be here for another 3 breath cycles. Breathing deeply into the belly. 1 more breath. Beautiful. And on your next exhale, lowering the left hand all the way down to the mat. Coming back to your high lunge. Taking a little weight off of those fingertips. Going long through the crown of the neck. Lengthen through the back of the neck. On your next exhale, plant that left palm. Bringing the right hand to the top of the right thigh. Exhale, spiraling the chest toward the right side of the mat. And maybe inhaling the right hand toward the ceiling. Maybe you send your gaze and look at your right thumb. Draw the armpit chest down the length of the side body. 1 more breath here. Exhaling it out deeply. And bringing the right hand all the way to the mat. Planting the palms, sending the right foot back into your plank. And we're going to work through our vinyasa. So on the exhale, lowering all the way to the mat or through chaturanga. Inhaling into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling all the way into our down dog. Really nice work, guys. Take a moment here in down dog. If you need to, take child's pose at any time. Feel free to maybe walk the legs out just a bit. Beautiful. On your next inhale, bending through the knees, looking to the front of the mat, and you can step or hop your way up to the front into your flat back. Exhale, release. Make sure the feet are together, really, really together here. We're going to bend deeply through the knees, and we're going to work through our Utkatasana, through our chair pose again. So inhaling, floating the fingertips up, growing long through the crown of the head, lengthening through the back of the neck. Spine is 1 long line from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head. On every exhale, think about sinking those sit bones back and down. 3 more breaths here. Draw the armpit chest down the length of the side body. Imagine holding a big beach ball up and overhead. And on our next inhale, growing tall. Maybe exhaling a small back bend. Inhaling, coming back up to standing. Palms kiss together. Clasping fingers. Index fingers are pointing toward the ceiling. We're going to bump the hips to the right. And exhale, point toward the left. Fingers point toward the left. Inhale, come back up through standing. Exhale, bump the hips to the left. Fingertips point toward the right. Beautiful. Inhale, come toward standing. Lower hands through prayer at the heart. Beautiful. Take 1 deep breath all together here. Nourishing breath, exhale it out, send some positive energy to somebody. Bring the hands to the hips. We're going to move into our warrior here, our warrior 1. So stepping the right foot back on 2 parallel lines, the feet are going to be. Right toes are pointing toward the front right corner of the mat. Bending into that left knee, knee is tracking over the toes. Hips, pelvis is going to be over top, slightly over the level of the knee, the left knee. On the inhale, once you've got your foundation, drawing energy up from the ground, engaging that root lock, right? That Kegel, that lock of that root chakra. And inhale, floating the fingertips all the way up into our warrior 1, our Virabhadrasana A. Head is over the heart is over the pelvis. Exhale, maybe you insert a very small back bend, maybe you insert a larger back bend. And inhale, coming back up through center. Palms kiss together, they lower at the heart. We're gonna move into our twist on this side. So on the inhale, bringing the heart toward that upper left thigh, growing long through the crown of the head, lengthening through the back of the neck. On the exhale, we twist, opening the heart toward the left side of the mat, bringing the outside of the right elbow toward the outside of the left thigh. Right? We're not necessarily aiming to get into our full twist right away, but we're hoping to grow the twist with every exhale, working to bring the sternum in line with the thumbs. We're not putting any sort of undue stress on the wrists. We're not using our arms to muscle into the pose or into the twist. Think about drawing the armpit just down the length of the side body, lengthening through the back of the neck. 3 more breaths here. Really nice work, guys. Lovely. And on the exhale, lowering the hands all the way to the mat. Coming back up onto your high lunge to inch the right foot a little bit further back, and then externally rotate through that right leg so that you lower the sole of the right foot onto the mat. Right heel is in line with the left heel now. We're going to swim the left hand toward the inner left arch. And again, notice this side might be different than the other, but feel free to use a block. Feel free to come up on the forearm, allowing the forearm to rest on top of the thigh. Whatever works for you. Inhaling, bringing the right hand to the right hip. On the exhale, spiraling the heart toward the right side of the mat. Rolling the right shoulder back. One long line from the crown of the head to the tip of the tailbone. Feel free to stay here. If you want a little bit more, you can float those fingertips down toward the mat and then forward toward the front of the mat. Rolling the shoulder back in space. Seeing our bicep and our periphery. Moving into our extended side angle. Breathing deeply, feeling the belly grow on every inhale. Draw the armpit chest down the length of the side body here. 2 more breaths. Beautiful. And on your next exhale, lowering the right hand to the mat, coming back onto your high lunge. You can move your block if you're using it. Think about lifting a little bit of weight up and off of those fingertips. And planting the right hand, bringing the left hand up onto the left thigh. On the exhale, spiraling the chest toward the left side of our mat. Little counter twist here. And maybe floating the fingertips all the way up toward the ceiling. Now, I didn't say it on the other side, but notice where your right hip has gone. Notice if you're dropping it in order to get further into your twist. Think about trying to level the hips out. So if you think about the front pockets of your pants, you want to try to keep that right pocket in line with the left pocket. Take another 2 breaths here. Maybe you send your gaze up overhead. Think about dropping the armpit chest down the length of the side body, growing long through the crown of the head. Exhaling, bringing the left hand, planting it on the mat, stepping the left foot back, moving through your vinyasa. So maybe exhaling into chaturanga or all the way down to the mat. Inhaling to bhujangasana or upward facing dog. Exhale, we'll all meet in our downward facing dog. Take a deep cleansing breath here. And on your next exhale, bending through the knees, lowering them all the way down to the mat, sending the sit bones toward the heels, swimming the fingertips back toward the toes, allowing the head to come and rest all the way on the mat. And taking a break in your child's pose. Noticing how you're feeling here compared to the start of practice. And one more breath here. On your next inhale, we're going to roll all the way, head over heart, heart over pelvis. Allow the palms to rest on the thighs. Noticing your breath, breathing into the belly. Beautiful. Flutter the eyes open if they're closed. And you can rock to one side or the other and come to sitting. So, coming to face the long edge of your mat, we're going to bring the left heel in toward the pelvis, sending the right foot out toward the corner of the mat. Sitting nice and tall here, head over heart, heart over pelvis. We're going to move into our Pavarita Janu Shirsasana. So our revolved head to knee pose, right? Your head doesn't have to touch your knee, but it's that intention. So on the inhale, growing tall through the crown of the head, we're going to send our right forearm toward the inside of that right leg, allowing it to come to rest on the mat. If it doesn't go all the way down to the mat, you could allow it to rest on top of the thigh, or go ahead and bring your block and just allow it to rest on the block. Toes are bright, right toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. On the inhale, growing long through the crown of the head. On the exhale, traveling into our posture, sending the forehead with the intention of getting it toward the knee. There's no need for it to come right to the knee. We're going to ground through the sit bones. So with that left hand, think about gently, lovingly pressing in through the left thigh. We're not aiming to get into the posture right in the first breath, right? We're trying to see how it evolves with every exhale. Maybe you can float your left fingertips up and over toward the right toes. Think about noticing where that right ear has gone. Is it dipping toward the right shoulder? If it is, think about dropping the armpit chest down, maybe lifting the head slightly so that it's in line with the rest of the spine. Now, if this is tough on your neck, you can bend through that left elbow, creating a little hammock for your head. Think about spiraling that left shoulder toward the back, maybe sending your gaze up toward the ceiling. Breathe deeply, sending the breath down into the belly. Rooting firmly through that left sit bone. Notice how the posture's changing. Notice if you're able to relax into the posture. If you notice any sort of tension, try to breathe into it. That equal part breath. And take 2 more breaths here. Breathing deeply. And on your next exhale, we're going to, one vertebrae at a time, allow the heart to come over the pelvis, the head to come over the heart. Beautiful. Putting a little bend in that right knee, maybe helping with your right hand. We're going to swim that right foot around the outside of the left thigh, planting firmly through that left foot, feeling the sole of foot come onto the mat and ground into the mat. Planting yourself firmly in so that your sit bones are grounded nicely into the mat. Again, we're trying to feel that connection, feel rooted, feel like, we're well supported here. Inhaling, growing long through the crown of the head. And on the exhale, giving yourself a hug, giving your knee a hug with your left arm and journeying into the twist. Maybe you send your fingertips, your right fingertips toward the back of the mat. Maybe you look toward the back as well, sending your gaze that way. but we're not forcing into it, just like we've been practicing all morning. We're trying to journey further into the twist with every exhale. Again, deep belly breathing, growing tall through the crown of the neck. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Soften your gaze here, maybe close your eyes. Lovely. And on your next inhale, coming back towards center. Bring the soles of the feet together here, moving into our Baddha Konasana. You don't have to have the heels, really tight into the pelvis. They can be out a little ways. Grab onto the toes, you can grab onto the heels. The intention is for the knees to make their way toward the mat, but there's no need for them to go all the way down toward the mat. We want to sit head over heart, heart over pelvis. Think about opening the feet, kind of like a book, so the soles of the feet can shine up toward the ceiling. Maybe give yourself a little massage here. On your next exhale, or inhale, growing long through the crown of the head, and exhale, moving into a little bit of a fold here. Moving the heart toward the feet. Keeping that length in the back of the neck, inhaling deeply. Not yanking ourselves into the posture, we're just letting it evolve. Seeing what comes. Relinquishing our control, right? Just letting it be. And 1 more breath here. And on the inhale, roll yourself back up to sitting. We're going to straighten through that left leg, allowing it to go out toward the left corner of the mat, bringing the right foot, heel of the right foot in toward the pelvis, right through both sets of toes, both feet, sending the left toes up toward the ceiling. Head is over the heart is over the pelvis. We're going to work to send that left forearm toward the mat. Again, you can use your block here if you need to, or rest your forearm on top of the left thigh. On the inhale, grow tall through the crown of the head, and on the exhale, journey into your fold. Gently pressing that right palm of the right hand into the outer right thigh, spiraling the right shoulder toward the back. Lengthening through the back of the neck. Avoiding letting the head kind of fall toward the leg. Trying to keep a nice straight line through the spine. Maybe we inhale our right hand up toward the ceiling and exhale it down toward the left toes. Rolling the right shoulder back in space, drawing the armpit, chest down, lengthen the side body. If the head is feeling heavier, the neck is a little, sensitive here, feel free to hold on to the head with the right hand. Create a little neck hammock here. Breathing deeply into the belly for another 3 breaths. Trying to relax into the posture. Let go, relinquish control, right? Just see how it goes. Focus on the breath. Beautiful. And inhale, coming all the way back up to sitting. Putting a bend through that left knee. Swimming the left foot around toward the outside of the right thigh. Grounding the sole of the left foot into the mat. Making sure those sit bones are deeply rooted into the mat. Inhaling, growing nice and tall through the crown of the head and the spine. Exhaling, hugging the left knee with your right arm. And exhaling into our twist. Opening our heart up toward the left side. Maybe swimming the left fingertips toward the back of the mat. Maybe you send your gaze toward the back of the mat as well. Moving like we're important, moving like we matter. We're not pushing ourselves We're moving to our appropriate edge and then seeing if we can let go and journey further into our twist, further into our posture. It's a good metaphor for life as well, right? Moving to our appropriate edge and then seeing if by letting go we can't journey further into whatever life is asking us to do. 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. And inhaling back towards center. We're going to bring both legs toward the foot of the mat, bringing the soles of the feet onto the mat, the knees toward the ceiling, and we're going to make our way down into our back, onto our back. Bring the knees toward the chest. Give yourself a nice hug. Maybe rock side to side a little bit, massaging that lower back. You can close your eyes here if you like. Let the hands, the arms fall out toward either side in a big T, and then you're just going to let the knees drop toward the left. Letting the head maybe rest here neutral, or you can let the right ear come to the mat. You're working to keep the shoulder blades both firmly planted on the ground, giving yourself a connection, a foundation, allowing yourself to feel rooted. Breathing into the belly. Beautiful. And inhale, bringing the knees back up through center, and then letting them fall on the exhale toward the right side of the mat. Be noticing how this side is different. Feeling the breath going into the belly, feeling the belly rise with every inhale. And then noticing how it falls with every exhale. A directional breath. Imagine the breath going down into the belly. And on the exhale, imagine it coming back up and out through the nose and the mouth. Beautiful. Inhale, bring the knees back up towards center. Give yourself one last hug. Feel free to take any sort of movement you need before we come to our final posture. Sending the feet out toward the foot of the mat. You can keep them close together, send them far apart, send them wide. Hands can rest wherever they feel most comfortable. Snuggle shoulder blades underneath the chest. Maybe you want to keep the hands close to the body and you bring the left palm over the heart, right palm over the belly. Once you find a comfortable position, notice the breath again. Breathing in through the nose, letting it out through the nose or the mouth. And arriving. And I'm going to quiet down here and just let you have a few moments to be with yourself. And I'll bring you back in a couple of minutes here. So in the closing moments here, I just want to wrap up with the reading for you. We've talked a lot today about foundation, feeling supported, feeling grounded in ourselves. And I've read this passage to you before, but I think it's kind of fitting with what we're doing today. So I'm going to read it again. It's called Advice from a Tree. I'm not sure where it comes from, so if anybody knows, feel free to let me know in the comments. It starts, "Dear friend, Stand tall and proud. Sink your roots deeply into the earth and reflect the light of your true nature. Think long term. Go out on a limb. Remember your place among all living beings. Embrace with joy the changing seasons, for each yields its own abundance. The energy and birth of spring, the growth and contentment of summer, the wisdom to let go like leaves in the fall, the rest and quiet renewal of winter. Feel the wind and the sun and delight in the presence. Look up at the moon that shines down upon you and the mystery of the stars at night. Seek nourishment from the good things in life, simple pleasures, earth, fresh air, light. Be content with your natural beauty. Drink plenty of water. Let your limbs sway and dance in the breeze. Be flexible. Remember your roots and enjoy the view. So we're just coming up on 10:46 right now, so I'm going to leave you here today, let you stay here in Shavasana for as long as you need, as long as today will allow. But I want to thank you for joining me. If you've been practicing with me for a while, welcome back. If you're new to the practice, welcome. And I hope I will see you next week. And we'll close practice by bringing hands in prayer up to the third eye. And whispering, Namaste. Have a beautiful Sunday. We'll see you next week.